Oh, come on, the dark side of shadow government. Well, if you've been tuned into the news lately, I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So, once again, verification. But what's going on is now they're just going to make it okay. Now it's going to be all right for the shadow government to be there. And they're good guys, and they want to help you out. Okay. People don't want you to have this information. I'm going to tell you why. The basic answer for me is very simple. The UFO community is pretty much a very open-minded community that just give me a minute, likes to question things and look at things completely. Truth seekers. Now the government would love to hide a lot of things that are going on. So what they do is they make you guys look like the fringe. They're crazy. They wear Vulcan ears, nanu nanu, all that kind of stuff. Live long and prosper. And they've succeeded for the most part. But now more and more people are beginning to listen. I had a gentleman come up to me, he's here, and he said, God, you know, I never believed in this stuff. Never, you know, but I heard some of these other speakers and you guys on art, and you're talking about a shadow government. And I'm watching the news. And I'm sitting there, and I have my, you know, my Coca-Cola in my hand, and my wife's with me, and all of a sudden I'm saying, and in case of the collapse of the government, we have a new group that will take over, the shadow government. He goes, well, the Coke never made it to my mouth. Okay. I'm going to turn it back over to Dan. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and roll that video. Sorry for the delay. We had a little faux there, which always seems to happen. Okay, lower the lights too, please. Okay, this was produced by Jaime Maussan, as I said. Now, is there any doubt in anybody's mind that they're not looking at a creature that's blinking its eye there? Can you see the eyelids moving and closing and the pupil in the middle? And I mean, I don't know how anybody could look at that and see anything different. This is a little closer even still. You can see the slitted pupil. I mean, it's, you know, some people tried to say it was light reflections. Well, it can't be light reflections because the camera's not moving. I mean, it's basically stationary. I mean, but to me, it's clearly a blink. There's no way around it. Okay, keep that going for a second. This is the next sequence here is we actually turned that video upside down so people could see it, and then we did a motion stabilization to keep the head still so that the camera movement wasn't so jerky. It's a little bit easier to see that way. And again, you can see it open its eyes. And this was not enlarged or anything. This is the same size as it was originally. This is just repeated, the image stabilized version of this. And the whole scene's changing because we tried to keep the head stable, so that means everything else had to move. Okay, you can stop that video and bring the lights back up a little bit here. No, maybe not that much. Okay, let me go to let's go to video 3 this time, and I hope this is really video 3, the one marked 3. And we're going to cue that up. This ties into some of the educational background. I was trying to explain that Dr. Reed's records were all expunged, and you know, people were talking about why would somebody do that. Well, the credibility issue is really the reason, as everybody probably already knows. They were trying to keep him from being credible. You know, a doctor of psychology from the University of Washington, it's a prestigious university, he would have a lot of credibility, you would think. And so, in order to raise some doubt in the case, they felt it necessary to, well, there probably is a twofold reason. The second thing is they wanted to prevent him from having a livelihood. I mean, if he couldn't go to work, they got rid of his job. He didn't have any credentials because the university wouldn't verify that he worked there, and they got rid of his bank account. He had no money. So what's someone going to do at that point? Well, either I think a lot of people would have probably gone crazy from the whole thing. They probably either would have killed themselves or been committed. I don't know. Go ahead and play that tape number 3. Pardon? Trying to stay alive and stay out of trouble. These are some of the slides. Is that the one that's labeled Betty On the as the first. I don't know how we got these numbers messed up here. But anyway, these are the slides. You can see some of the photographs. We'll go through these right now then, I guess, and then we'll put the interviews in. These are some of the slides that he took. Actually, they were a mixture of slides and photographs. I did a little blow up there, and you can see on that image that it's a pretty severe wound. That's the creature's head wound that I kind of blew up there a little bit. These are just an image, you know, showing his examination. And again, he, you know, in most of these cases, he was doing this on his own. That's the full body of the creature, so you can see that it wasn't just a head, even though you could see in the video quite clearly that it wasn't just a head. These are some of the obelisk photographs. It was about 9 feet, 9.5 feet, and I verified that later on through a little analysis that I did. Yes, and you'll see in a lot of these photographs, and I'm going to show another one on a PC projector here in a minute, the foliage that gets in the way in these photographs is proof that this object was there. Like in this image right here, I mean, you can see that this is a three-dimensional object. And even if you didn't have the video, you should be able to tell that this is not just some cropped up photo draw or Photoshop picture. That's the link artifact that fell off the creature's arm. When the dog attacked it, and he picked it up, it was laying beside the creature. Okay, go ahead and stop that and put the one in that says Betty. It should say Betty, Valerie, PCUPR. Okay. I just got them backwards. Yeah. What I was going to say before these slides came on was these are actually testimony from people that Jaime Maussan's group interviewed. Make sure we got audio. You need to rewind it if you don't.
Locally.
Yeah, rewind that back to the beginning. This particular person is a lady named Valerie. She was the loan officer for Jonathan at his bank that he banked at. And when Jaime Maussan got involved, Jonathan allowed him to interview a couple people. This is one of them, and we're going to see the next one in a second.
Probably 20 years I was a banker in various aspects of banking, locally and not locally.
You were able to meet Jonathan Reed, Dr. Jonathan Reed, long ago. Could you let us know how was your relationship with him?
Sure. Jonathan, it was about 15 years ago, about 1985, and I hadn't been at the bank very long, and that's where I met him.
He was a doctor. He was working in the university, as far as we know.
Yes, he was. And over the years, I did a lot of transactions with him as I moved up in the bank. Loan payments and deposits, and he always had a good account. He had a lot of money. I wouldn't say rich on the comparison of a lot of clients, but he had an obvious doctor's income. But no, he had a substantial amount of money in the bank.
But it changed suddenly somewhere in time. Could you remember that? Could you let us know?
Oh, I can never forget it. As I said, I had worked my way up in the bank, and there came a day when we were called into a meeting, and we were told that we didn't know him. If anybody asked about him, we never knew this customer. And of course, in banking, there's a huge confidentiality anyway, and so we thought, you know, doctor, maybe it was a suit. Of course, we wouldn't talk about it. No, we didn't know him.
That's strong. That was the order.
There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And I went to check his his signature card. I knew all his paperwork, and I knew none of it was there. Nothing. It had been there the night before, because I had been looking at loan payments and when they come due, and I knew he had one coming due. And oftentimes we did a phone transaction to automatically transfer. And just preparing, and it was all gone, everything. And I basically got in trouble because they said, he didn't exist, and I said he did exist, and you know what was going on, and this was against the law. And they said that if I wanted to work in any sort of banking, that he